this is actually problems number 4 and 5 in the book on page 73. We're looking at a proportional relationship. We have our friend Frank. Okay, I made up the name Frank. That's not in the book. Frank is a hiker, and we have Frank made a graph of his hike because, you know, that's what we would all do. If we hiked a lot, we'd make a graph of how far we would hike based off of how many hours we hiked. And that's what this is showing. It shows this graph up to 25 hours, which is a long hike, and how many miles he can cover in that 25 hours. And that's what this line represents. Okay, so the first question is, what does the point 5, 6 represent? What does this point right here represent? And if we look at it, 5 is our x value, so that's hours. So after 5 hours of hiking and walking through the wilderness, he has traveled how far? And that's what our y value is, or our 6 is 6 miles. And I didn't mean to change that. After 5 hours, Frank has traveled 6 miles. Okay, and then part B, or number 5, I guess, is what is the equation of this relationship? So remember, we're using y equals kx. We sometimes call k m. There are some differences, but for this, we're going to use y equals kx. And remember that k is equal to y over x. And that actually is, we could do a one-step equation, right? So y equals kx, divide both sides by, we don't want to divide both sides by k, we want to keep the k. We're going to divide both sides by x, and that gives us k equals y over x, because the x's cancel out. Okay, so k equals y over x. What that means is we can take any y value that's on this line, divide it by the x value that corresponds to it, and that will give us our constant of proportionality, or our slope, which would be m. Okay, so we're going to use this point, and they give us 5, 6. Okay, so k equals, what is my y value? That's always the second one. This is y, this is always x. So y is 6, x is the first one, 5, and so y equals 6 over 5. We can leave it like that. We can put it in a calculator. That gives us 1.2 or 1 1/5. Any of these would work for our k. Okay, so we would just write y equals k, which is 1.2, times x, or one of these other ones. And this works with any point. So let's take another point just to show this. Right here we have 10 and 12. So k would be equal to, our y value is 12, and our x value is 10. And 12 divided by 10 is also equal to 1.2. If it's a proportional relationship, that will be true for all of these values. Okay, proportional, yes. Linear, which is slightly different, that's not always true. It won't work quite like that. But if it's proportional, it means it starts at 0, 0, then it will always work. Hopefully that helps, and you're getting a good idea of how these work.